Christ.
Once again, good morning, my dear sisters and brothers. Well, in the previous gospel readings, we have heard, or we have read, if you're reading the gospel, that the Pharisees were questioning Jesus about his actions and more likely his motive of doing things. And today is not different, where Matthew has expressed that the Pharisees went out and took counsel against Jesus to put him to death. So they have this image of Jesus' detractors. In our times, maybe we can compare them to what we call bashers. Nowadays, ang dami niyan. If you do something, others may appreciate it, but others will bash you. Sometimes it is unreasonable, or you don't know really why people are doing that. And it's frightening because many are becoming more creative in putting others down. Fake news. Akala lang natin malaki itong fake news pang malakihan to, pang gobyerno. But tayo may mga ganun din, may mga subtle fake news, no, na pwedeng ipinapakalat ng iba. Kaya nga minsan ang mga nakikita natin, o kaya naman halimbawa may mga nagpo-post ng mga pictures or stories, we have to double check it. Kasi lahat na edit pictures are usually or can be edited. Videos can be cut into small portions and put it together so that it will have a different meaning than the original one. So my point here is that, well, they became very creative. And Jesus, in the time of Jesus, yung bashing sa kanya ay nauwi pa sa they are planning to put Jesus to death. And so what was the reaction of Jesus? Kung ilalagay natin sa context natin, ano ang reaction natin pag may mga tao na naninira sa atin? Ito, frightening pa nga ito kasi kung may mga taong nagbabalak na tayo ay mamatay, though siguro naman na hindi pa umaabot sa ganon. Well, we either take flight, out of fear. Yun ang unang reaction. Alis na lang ako dahil ako'y takot. Or, I will fight out of anger. Our response is usually out of anger. Kaya we will counter it with our own bashing. We will counter it with our more violent way of doing things, even if it's only through words. But Jesus remained focused on the purpose why he was sent by God. He withdrew from them, not because he is afraid. His retreat does not mean that he surrenders to them. But he is very good in continuing what he is about or was about to accomplish. And so here in the gospel account, he withdrew from that place. But when many people followed him, he cured them all. Para kay Jesus, tuloy lang ang buhay. Para kay Jesus, he will not be distracted by all this plot, by all this criticism. And that is why his way, his non-violent way, was expressed in the book of the prophet Isaiah, wherein this servant of God was a gentle servant. This servant of God will seek justice, but not according to the way of the world, not according to the eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth way of the world. Meaning, hindi sa kanya nangyari yung, gantihan na lang tayo. Gagantihan kita kung anong gusto mong laban. May mga ganun. Minsan pag nanonood tayo ng mga telenovela o kaya mga pelikula, nakakapulo tayo ng mga ganung mga idea sa ating buhay. But then Jesus, sabi ko nga, instead of withdrawing, instead of fighting back in a violent way, what he did was that, well, I just continue what I'm doing. Others would say that this Jesus indeed walked the talk. His preaching became his life. At hindi lang ito yung mga occasions. Even in the beginning or before he started his ministries, meron ng mga temptations. The devil tempted him. You go to Matthew chapter 4, 1 to 11, and it will tell you about the story of the temptation. Luke has his own version in chapter 4, and Mark also in the first chapter of his gospel account. And in the Christian life, Paul told to his audience in the first letter to the Thessalonians, and I quoted, "For this reason, when I could endure it no longer, I also sent to find out about your faith, for fear that the tempter might have tempted you, and our labor would be in vain." Kung pinatulan ng ating Panginoon in the manner that the Pharisees wanted it, then His purpose will be in vain. But as we know it, Jesus became triumphant. He was not deterred. He was not distracted. He was not stopped by all the bashing, by all the plot to put him to death by the Pharisees, by the authorities during the time. Jesus defended and justified himself by his actions of continuing what he is about to do. And so may we appreciate Jesus, but at the same time, may we learn from him that if we are true to our purpose, no amount of words, no amount of actions could stop us, especially if our purpose is for the sake of God, for the sake of Jesus. Amen.